Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our webinar. Today's webinar on the topic of reuse activation tools and networking on European level. This is the second out of 2 webinars that are taking place this week and focusing on reuse. My name is Maria Adner. I'm the head of innovation and development here at the Waste Management Association Mitterrol. And today I'm representing the consortium of the Interreg Central Europe project Surface. For those of you who have already, just a second, who have been with us this Tuesday, the next few slides and minutes will be a bit repetitive. But for the others, I would like to give some principles for our webinar today. I guess all of us have joined some webinars lately due to COVID-19 lockdown, but still we are today here in a Zoom webinar, and to show you how you can navigate through your Zoom screen, you can see a few icons on the lower bottom of your screen. With the microphone, you can mute and unmute yourself. We have tested that with a few people beforehand, especially the presenters. You can start and stop your video with this icon. You can invite other people. You can watch and look at or take a look at the participant list with this icon of participants. Here you can also change your name, which is shown to us, the other participants. You can share your screen, and you can use the chat function where I will give you some details on with the next slide. But first, I would like to tell you that we are recording this webinar. We have informed you on that when you registered for the webinar, and this is done due to documentation purposes, and we will also publish the video documentation on our Interreg Central Europe website, project website, and YouTube channel of the project. So if you would like to share it with other colleagues of yours, then you will have the opportunity because we are recording it. Coming to the chat function, if you would like to ask a question, we decided on the following scheme, that if there is coming up a question in your mind during one of the presentations, please write it down in the general chat window, or you can even direct it directly to the person presenting in a personal chat. Zoom allows this. And we will collect it because there will be a separate question and answer session at the end of the webinar, where me, the moderator, will pick the questions from the chat and then forward it to the respective presenter. And depending on how many questions are coming up from the audience, we want to say in advance that it could happen if there are too many questions and we are limited with time, that we might not be able to pick your question, but then please contact us or the presenters afterwards by mail. But on Tuesday, it worked very well that we have been able to answer all the questions. And at this point, who will be supporting this process, I would like to present 2 colleagues of mine. Johannes Neitsch, he's the technical co-host here for Zoom. He will be responsible for the time management and the chat.
Hello,
Johannes.
hello everybody.
Yes.
Hi.
Thanks for saying hi to everybody. And at the same time, we have a second technical co-host. It's Florian Haas, also a colleague of mine.
Hi.
Hi, Florian. He is responsible for our Facebook live web streaming, because right at this moment we are live streaming also on our Facebook project website. And for all of you who are viewing or watching us there, you can also ask questions just by typing it into the comment section, and Florian will forward it to us here in the Zoom meeting. So thanks to my colleagues at this point. Another information for you is that you can change the way you see your screen. You can pick between speaker and gallery view. It means if you choose speaker view, it shows always the active speaker, and if you choose the gallery view, then the videos are tiled up by the Zoom program. And last but not least, that's something new to Tuesday. Today, we decided to make it a bit more interactive with the audience. So I won't spoil too much, but please keep your mobile phone ready or stay ready to use your web browser on your laptop. And that's it for the principles. Next, I would like to introduce the agenda to you. After my introduction, I'm very happy to welcome Michael Len and Jana Zurkova from RREUSE, who will give us some insights on the reuse actions within the updated EU Circular Economy Action Plan. And RREUSE is an international non-profit network embracing social enterprises and active in the field of reuse, repair, and recycling. I'm sure we will get more details from you, Michael and Jana. Thanks for being with us. After that, my two colleagues from the Surface project will give you some practical insights on the reuse activation tools that we, I'm sorry, I have to mute Yuri. So, yes, we developed certain reuse activation tools and also applied them during the three-year-long project surveys. And Agnieszka Kepa from Kujawsko-Pomorski, our Polish project partner, and also Peter Grabak from Bészolten in Hungary will present you the outcomes of these activation tools. After this, we will have a short coffee break to get some fresh air, a coffee, and yes, fresh up our minds for the second half of the webinar. Here also Agnieszka and Peter go on and present us the networking tools that we developed and applied within the project. And yeah, also we'll show you some good practice examples from other countries. And after that, we will come to the plenary discussion on the topic of how can reuse strengthen its role in the circular economy of Central Europe and beyond. This plenary discussion will be moderated by Berthold Schleich from the Association of Waste Prevention in Austria. And I'm very happy to welcome 4 international experts, reuse experts that are here with us today. It's on the one hand, Downey from Ireland, the Community Resource Network of Ireland. It's Michael Len from RREUSE. It's Matthias Neitsch from RepaNet in Austria, and Pier Andrea Moiso from Rete Luglio. I hope I pronounced it right. Berthold will introduce you more in detail during the plenary discussion, but welcome also already here at this point. And then in the end, we have this separate Q&A session with questions from the audience and some conclusions. I will just give you a short introduction, background for those who haven't been with us on Tuesday. This webinar is part of our final conference of the project, and we want to present the results that were elaborated during these 3 years. Originally, it was planned to welcome you here in person in Austria, specifically actually in this room that you see here. It's a refurbished industry hall from a company here located in Mitterrand. I think you all know it, it's Swarovski. And this industry building is used amongst others now for meeting purposes. It would have been very lovely, but due to COVID-19, we had to rearrange a little bit, and that's why we came up with the idea to organize these 2 online webinars, to go into exchange also with other reuse experts. Today, the focus is on the activation tools and networking. On Tuesday, it was on the smart reuse parks. If you missed it, there will be the opportunity to watch the video on our website. Surface itself, what does it mean? Of course, we know the word itself, but in this setting, it's an abbreviation for the long title of our project, which is Smart Urban Reuse Flagship Alliances in Central Europe. We were working within this project for the last 3 years. It's funded from Interreg Central Europe within the priority-specific objective of improving environmental management of functional urban areas to make them more livable places. On Tuesday, somebody from the JS was with us. I think I also saw it today. I just have to check. Welcome, the representative of the chairs. It's nice that you're with us again. And who is behind this name? Who am I representing? Is this lovely group. You see us here at the kick-off meeting in Tyrol 3 years ago. We are a consortium of companies from 10 European countries. It's from Austria, Slovenia, Italy, Germany, Poland, Hungary, Croatia, Belgium, and the Czech Republic. And we are all active in the field of waste prevention, management, and reuse. And what were the overall goals that led our work through the last years? It was setting up multi-stakeholder-based smart reuse parks with the aim to prolong product lifetimes via repair, reuse, and reuse activities. And this also supports, of course, the goals, the aims of the European legislative framework, like the Circular Economy Act, which we will be hearing soon more about. And like the goals that are associated here with waste prevention, energy and resource efficiency, creation of green jobs, fostering regional added value. For more information, please go and check our project website, because I can't wait to give on the word now to our first two guest speakers, which is Michael Len and Jana Zurkova from RREUSE. I will stop sharing my screen, Jana and Michael, and maybe you can start sharing yours while I'm introducing you more in detail. Michael Len is the director of RREUSE. His expertise lies in policy mechanisms aimed at supporting the role of social enterprise in a circular economy, notably in the field of reuse and repair. Previously, Michael held roles as project manager for the Greens EFA group in the European Parliament, as well as environmental management related roles in the private sector. He holds a Master of Sciences in Environmental Policy and Regulation from the London School of Economics. Thanks, Michael, that you are here with us. And his colleague, Jana, has the role at RREUSE to facilitate exchange of experience and know-how among social enterprises working in reuse and repair.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello,
whoever is with us, I will mute you. Okay, sorry, Jana, your introduction got interrupted, but coming back, you facilitate then among the enterprises working reuse, repair, capacity building of the network, boosting reuse business models and innovation. Jana, you are managing the Surface Interact project on behalf of RREUSE, so thanks for the collaboration for the last 3 years. And outside of work, Jana has been a volunteer in, okay, I hope I can pronounce it, Tourneville, the Brussels non-profit tool library, which is fighting overconsumption by sharing quality tools and promoting the DIY, do-it-yourself culture. Thanks to both of you for being with us, and I'm looking forward to hearing your presentation.
Thanks, Maria. Can you hear us?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot for the introduction. So my name is Jana, and this is Michael, who will speak after me. And we are happy to be here today on behalf of RREUSE. I will just make a very short introduction about the organization. I assume a lot of us already know us, but just for those who are new in the group. And then Michael will say something more about the European policy, in particular about the European Circular Economy Action Plan and what is in this action plan interesting for reuse activities. So, is it working? Sorry. Yes, so RREUSE is the European network of social enterprises active in reuse, repair and recycling. Our members are either individual social enterprises or networks of social enterprises who have their own collection, sorting, repair and reuse activity. Then also most of them have their own secondhand shops. they work with all different products which you can imagine arising from the households, so textiles, furniture, waste electricals, books, bicycles, etc. And they collect these reusable items from citizens and give them a new life in their reuse centers, and they use these activities to create jobs for people who are disadvantaged on the labor market. They have different target groups ranging from people who are long-term unemployed and low-skilled, people with some addiction backgrounds or mental health issues, etc. So our network combines environmental and social objectives. And again, I know that in this consortium, in this project, this connection is very much there, and we all have this understanding about reuse activities and that they should combine these two aspects. We are currently representing 31 members in 26 countries. And according to our last statistics, our members diverted 1 million tons of materials from landfill through reuse, repair, and recycling. Overall, the network includes some 850 individual social enterprises who represent 95,000 trainees, employees, and volunteers. So this is just to show you a bit the variety of products and materials our members work with. Maybe some of them a bit more unusual, like paint, construction materials, workwear, camping equipment, aside from the classic ones like textiles and furniture, etc. This is our network, this is our wider network, and a picture from our last annual conference. Last thing I will say is that our network is coordinated by the team in Brussels, where me and Michael come from. And we focus on three main things. One of them is a European policy. So we try to shape European policy. So it supports reuse and also social enterprises and their role in the circular economy. We work on different policy files. We work on waste policies, on eco-design and repairability of products, also on public procurement, which is very important for social enterprise, on taxation, and a lot of range of social policies. The second part which we focused on is capacity building of reuse social enterprises, so connecting them, making sure they can exchange knowledge and information and grow as a result. And we are also involved in a number of projects, and we try to create partnerships opportunities. So one of them is Surface, where we are really happy to be as a partner. We have engaged a lot of our members through the project, and hopefully it was for benefit for both sides. And yeah, it was a great pleasure to be here. And I think I will give the word to Michael, who will talk a bit more about the policy side of things. So we will do some social distance switching.
Okay, that's the first time. That's the first time we practiced that social distance switch. More or less. Dear colleagues, lovely to be with you today, and it's wonderful to see so many familiar names and faces in the participants when I look down. Of course, those who are less familiar, but really happy to meet with you and to be able to exchange today. So thanks a lot for the invitation. I was asked to provide some background or some general reflections as to how the new EU Circular Economy Action Plan can support reuse activities. And I'll generally run through some of the main points along the lines of product design, waste prevention, and financing of reuse activities. So this is more or less, all of these elements have somehow been reflected within the EU Circular Economy Action Plan, which was published earlier this year in March. It's part of the European Commission's Green Deal. It's with the Green Deal is essentially a roadmap to make Europe more sustainable and climate neutral by 2050. And the Circular Economy Action Plan is one of the general pillars of this Green Deal, which sets out the work program of the European Commission for the next 5 years in terms of what policy areas will they work on in order to move Europe towards a circular economy. So this includes a number of legally binding and non-legislative pieces of work, which I won't go into in detail because there's simply not enough time. But what I'll do is I'll just provide some general comments about the main elements of the package that could be interesting for reuse. So the first concerns eco-design, and I don't have individual slides on this, so that's why I'm not changing the slides in case you're wondering if the slides are to change. But the first concerns eco-design and the importance of making our products more durable and easily repairable. What is interesting is that historically, European policy when it comes to eco-design has focused on electronic products, especially energy efficiency. And only in recent times has the issue of durability and repairability been reflected in regulations underpinning the Eco-Design Directive. So essentially trying to regulate products coming onto the European market as to how repairable and durable they are. This focus on electronic products has been widened under the new circular economy package, in the sense that now there are more products in the scope of the Commission's vision that are to be regulated based on their design, including textiles and furniture. So this is a widening of the scope on eco-design legislation beyond electronics, is really a major step in terms of trying to improve product design and consumption in Europe. So that's one thing. Alongside this work, there has been a burgeoning right to repair movement. Maybe some of you have been part of that and have been taking part in various campaigns and the movement itself, which seeks to allow citizens to have more opportunities to repair their own products, and also to help the independent sector being able to access the necessary tools, information, and necessary manuals, etc., to be able to repair their own products. So the Commission has officially said that it will be following up on an initiative to ensure the right to repair for citizens in its mandate, which is really important to raise. When sticking to design, there is one sectoral area which has, I would say, quite a lot of interest for the community, and that's textiles. And the Commission, in their Circular Economy Action Plan, has said that it will create a textiles action plan. So many action plans. I'm sorry if I say the word action plan so many times, but there are many. But textiles will be a key focus over the next 5 years for the Commission, in terms of trying to address different aspects of production and consumption and the value chain of textiles, but also to look at how to meet the separate textile collection target, which has been put in place under EU waste law. So by 2025, all textiles in the European Union should be collected separately. And so this action plan will look into how to actually address that. Moving beyond product design, the area of waste prevention, in which reuse sits, has also quite a prominent role within the Circular Economy Action Plan. The idea of setting targets for waste prevention has been raised, and targets for reuse, which is something that our organization RREUSE has been working on, is an area of work very well. Let's say there's one major work concerning reuse, which is related to the monitoring of reuse. How do you measure reuse? And also target setting in that field. So let's say one of the important aspects of the up and coming 5-year term with the Commission is how to define indicators for measuring reuse, as well as how to define targets against those indicators. And I think that's really important for us, because EU waste legislation was revised 2 years ago, and now it is being transposed at national level. and the importance of measuring reuse has gained quite some ground within the legislation. So member states and regions will have to start measuring reuse in the near future, and the Commission is currently analyzing how to do it. It's not easy, but it is possible, but it's something on the horizon which is very important that could also promote a lot more support as well financially for the reuse sector as a result of this measurement and possible targets in the future. And so moving on to financing of reuse activities, there is nothing specific within the Circular Economy Action Plan itself per se about this. However, there are some financing mechanisms or some financial instruments which could be very helpful if oriented in the right direction to support reuse activities, such as extended producer responsibility. Now, extended producer responsibility there will be some guidelines coming out from the European Union. Soon, the European Commission will be publishing it, I believe, in July, some guidance as to how to implement extended producer responsibility. And there are opportunities there to support reuse activities and preparation for reuse activities through careful design of EPR. And one interesting example is that recently in France, there has been an allocation of some 5% of the fees which have been collected through extended producer responsibility to support the social economy reuse sector. So I think that's a really interesting development as part of the transposition of the European Waste Framework Directive in one country such as France, that could be looked at and replicated elsewhere. VAT has been raised as an important measure that should be looked into to supporting reuse and repair. And when I say VAT, how it means really to reduce VAT on second-hand products, and also to reduce it on repair activities. And we're very happy that for the first time in the Circular Economy Action Plan, VAT has been mentioned, because in the previous one it wasn't. And VAT is a very difficult discussion at national level, because member states have competence in setting their VAT levels and tax levels. So it's quite difficult to impose anything from European level, but the hint is there. And a final point I wanted to make, which is not directly part of the circular economy package, it more relates to the multi-annual financial framework of the European Union, which is essentially how the European Union's budget will be spent over the next 7 years. You may have heard recently in the press that there has been a revised recovery package, or a new recovery package rather, to support businesses and our society after the COVID pandemic in the recovery field. But there is also, alongside this 750 billion package, a 1.1 trillion euro multi-annual financial framework proposal, which basically sets out the amount of money that all the EU's funding instruments will get. And this includes, for example, the European Social Fund, the Interreg program, also Life Plus, so on and so forth. Many of the project funding lines that we are making use of, and of course that the Surface project itself is financed under. So I think what's very important is that these funding instruments have to directly align with the circular economy package priorities and that of the Green Deal, and the fact that the profile of reuse and repair has gained so much traction over the past 3 years. I really hope that when applying for projects, or when there is opportunities for member states to support their reuse operators locally, that the policies are finally being put in place in order to make this happen, and that the finances to make this happen will also be there alongside. And I think it's really important. It's a very complicated, let's say, proposal in terms of money, but hopefully we'll have clarity over the next 2-3 months as to what the different budget lines will be and what the priorities will be. But I just had to raise that because it's quite topical at the moment, and there was a lot of news about it just a few days ago. I've mentioned already the EU Waste Framework Directive very briefly. It's probably something which is key to all of you, especially if you're from a municipality and from a region or national authority. The EU Waste Framework Directive should be transposed this year into national law. I know some countries have more or less finished, some countries are far from having finished it, but it is a very interesting new law that contains a lot of opportunities to support reuse. I've already mentioned measurement, but there is quite a few good wordings concerning access to reusable goods and separation of reusable goods as early as possible in order to be able to reuse them. And so it provides a lot of inspiration. We have a position paper online. If you would like more information, be very happy to share it with you. As a final remark, that when we're talking about creating a policy framework to support reuse and to take into account also the social angle that we have been trying to promote and that the Surface project has been integrating as part of its thinking, that we really need to promote a kind of cohesive policy framework, both within and beyond the Circular Economy Action Plan itself. So it's not just the Circular Economy Action Plan that should be looked at on its own when we're trying to support reuse, and especially the social and inclusion aspects of that policy program. So what has been also very helpful within the Circular Economy Action Plan is there are references to a number of cross-cutting and horizontal work areas of the Commission that will hopefully balance out these issues, and to make sure that the three pillars of sustainability, so economic, environmental and social, are taken into consideration. So there are links to the skills agenda, a new action plan for the social economy, which is currently being devised and will be published mid next year. That's a really important one, certainly if you're a social enterprise. Then there are other actions of the European Commission, such as implementation of the EU Pillar of Social Rights, the funding lines such as ESF Plus and cohesion funds, as well as other initiatives that are at least now being joined up. And I think this joining up of different policy areas is just essential when moving forward to really include the inclusive side and the justice side of the circular equation. So I think that is everything from my side that I wanted to mention. I know Jana wanted to make a couple of some final remarks, but thanks a lot for your attention. But I'll hand over to Jana for a few concluding remarks. Thanks a lot. Social distancing transition again.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Michael. Just the few last minutes, I would like to make a connection between what Michael was saying about the European policy and what we have been working on in the Surface project, because I've noticed some really interesting things which happened in the partner regions and countries. So, for example, in Slovenia, there is a new waste regulation which says that public service providers should they have like a mandatory arrangement of collection points, which gives access to preparing for reuse operators to reusable goods. And that is something what is really, really crucial for reuse operators, something what we have been really advocating for also in the EU Waste Directive. So this is an example of a good practice transposition of the European Waste Framework Directive, which Michael was talking about. Also in Italy, the waste collection centers are moving towards a more reuse or preparing for reuse friendly type of management and collection. And secondly, I would like to mention public procurement, which also Michael just mentioned briefly, but I also saw that in Czech Republic and in Italy, we saw some nice examples of, on the one hand, public authorities purchasing reused goods like furniture, or in Italy, including social criteria like employment of disadvantaged people to public tenders. So although these are not really officially the deliverables of the project, I believe these are also results of the great commitment and the hard work of the partners and the ongoing advocacy for the reuse and social enterprise sector. And it's a great reflection of, I believe, the European laws and maybe the efforts of REUSE as our organization and you're on the ground. So I guess I would conclude with a big congratulations to everyone in the project, not only those I mentioned, but also all the partners. And thank you very much for inviting us today.
Thank you.
Thanks to the two of you. Usually now there would be applause, so sorry.
Yeah, we are pretty much used to it.
I guess so. No, but thanks a lot to the two of you for giving this perfect insights into the new frameworks that we will be faced in future on a European level, but also that already developed through the last years and are being installed in different member states. I totally agree with you, Jana. I think it's this is a big success and shows that the fruits of the work from the past years of a lot of actors that are present today, but many others, and that there's this bottom-up approach and advocating the necessity and importance of reuse, repair, and these activities. So I think it's a very positive development that we are facing right now. And thank you for giving us these insights. To the audience, questions, I see there are coming in a few questions already in the chat. We will handle them then at the end of the webinar. Next, I would like to ask Agnieszka to start sharing her screen, because this legal framework that now RREUSE gave us a very detailed insight. Were part also during the project, and one of the factors that we were focusing on when elaborating these activation tools, reuse activation tools. And yes, I'm happy that Agnieszka and Peter will give us now their presentation. The floor is yours. Agnieszka, I think you're still muted.
Yeah, just realized
yeah,
it.
Perfect, now you're here. Okay.
Thank you, Maria, for introduction. My name is Agnieszka Kępa from Kujawsko-Pomorskie region, and together with Peter Hrabak from Hungary, we'll try to present one of our results of Surface project, which is the activation toolbox. Oh, my presentation doesn't work.
Now it is.
Yeah. At the beginning, I would like to remind and introduce to people who are the first time with us whether there is a smart reuse park. Smart reuse park is some kind of a physical or even virtual space, like it was shown by project partners from Austria on Tuesday webinar. In smart reuse parks, different actors carry out activities in the field of product life extension, for example, by collecting, preparing for use, repairing, upcycling, or share and rental used goods. It can be said that apart from raising awareness and improving the environment in urban areas, the main purpose of the Surface project was to create reuse parks. But before each partner did so, we had to develop and test tools that would help others accomplish the same thing which we have done. That's why Activation Toolbox was created. According to the application form of the project, Activation Toolbox is a tool which consists of tools and instruments that help to establish if, when, and how to implement smart reuse park. Mentioned tools and instruments were developed and tested by project partners during the implementation of the SRPs in the region within Surface project. These tools are designed and designed to assist in planning, developing, and opening a smart reuse park, or even to implement other activities related to the reuse. As a part of Activation Toolbox, we have selected the following tools, which you see, like Decision Matrix, Multi-Stakeholder Forum, Collaboration Agreement, Cooperation Matrix, Quality Scheme, Training Curricula, Calculation Model, and last one, Policy and Operational Requirements. And in the next slides, we'll try to briefly describe each of them. So at the moment, I will give, let's say, floor to Peter. So I'm stop sharing my one.
Thank you, Agnieszka. I also say welcome to all of you. And I'm supposed to introduce you 4 out of the 9 tools that we have developed during this project cooperation. The first is that I would like to show you, this is the decision matrix.
Peter, we don't see your screen yet.
Ah, sorry. I have to share it again. And what about now?
Yes, perfect. Yeah.
Have you seen the out-screened picture, or you?
It's slide 5. I see slide 5.
Okay, okay, perfect. So, the first thing that it was very important to establish among the project partners, because it was clearly at the first meeting that all the givens and initial circumstances among project partners are quite different regarding the operation and the establishment of a smart reuse park. So the first task for us was to somehow unfold, reveal, and somehow make it comparable the situation in different functional urban areas. What does functional urban areas mean? Functional urban areas, in the interpretation of the surface project, is the area where the smart reuse park has its effect. So the citizens and all the people who can contribute to the development of smart reuse park and in general the reuse approaches and initiatives. The functional area covers this region. So we have to consider all of the situation and the main aspects like social, environmental, and legal aspects that we could make a comprehensive comparison of these different areas. And you see, we defined 8 dimensions like legislation, private business, state subsidized socioeconomic aspects, public awareness, smart reuse park, implementation potential, demand on second-hand items and supply of second-hand items. We already also provided some predefined answering options from 1 to 5, somehow to reflect and make a scale of the potential options that could be answers for these questions. As you see, we run this tool to all of the 9 functional urban areas, and you see we visualized it on a spider web diagram, as you can see as an illustration on the slide. And after that, we have the opportunity to make a comparison and also to conclude some new lessons to learn from each other, and also experiments and conclusions that we can use for further project realization. And next slide, I will show you the conclusions that we have made by using this tool.
But first, Peter, I will
I know.
take over. Is it already my time that I can?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Because as announced a bit earlier, before Peter will show you the results and the differences between the countries of us. Peter, can you stop sharing your screen?
Yes.
Thank you.
Now, screen has disappeared where I can stop sharing.
Up in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Finally, I have it. Okay.
Thank you. Because what I announced before is that we would like to make this today's webinar a bit more interactive than the one on Tuesday. I hope you can see my screen now. We would like to ask you, the audience, to participate in our online live survey using the tool Mentimeter and answering the question, how do you rate the importance of the following reuse framework conditions? We don't list every condition that Peter just presented, But first, please take out your mobile, like I said before, or maybe open the web browser when you're working on the laptop anyway, and go to www.menti.com. Oh, sorry, I hope you can see it. And you should see the code. Please enter the code. It's 845456 at the front page. And then a screen opens and you can rate these factors, these framework conditions, according to their importance, reflecting your region, your country. And you can rate it with the numbers 1 to 10. 1 means that you don't see it as an important factor, and 10 means it's very important. And we see already people are participating, and so 3 of the audience already entered the questions. They refer to legislation as very important framework condition. And we also have the topic of financing, state subsidy, socioeconomic aspects, public awareness, reuse activity, implementation potential, and demand and supply of second-hand items. So 7 of you, 8, it's climbing up. That's great. The aim of this is to compare it then with the results that Peter is also presenting afterwards a bit, what we found out in the different countries of the project partners. So 13 of you, it's no surprise, legislation leads for the moment, being representing a very important framework factor. Also public awareness is rated high, followed by demand and supply of second-hand items. Of course, the topic of the market, there needs to be a market for second-hand items. 28, wow. Thank you so much for the active participation. Because if I look, we are 66 participants. So we're reaching half of us already participated. And yes, it shows a good picture that legislation is rated as the very important framework factor, still followed by public awareness and the market for second-hand items. Thank you very much for your active participation. I think that gives a very nice picture of the conditions also in the individual countries participating, which, by the way, are more than 20 European countries registered for the 2 webinars. So I'm not sure how many are here today, but in total, over the last 2 days, more than 20 European countries participated here. So it's 36. I will stop sharing right now my screen. Thank you, everybody, for your participation. And I ask Peter again to share his screen and present the insights that we won with the project. Peter, you're still muted, just for your information.
Have you seen my screen now? Is it okay?
Yes, but it's not in presentation mode. Maybe you could start the presentation mode.
I've already started, but it shows another different screen. So maybe I start again.
That's perfect. Mm-hmm.
Screen 2. Perfect. Is it okay now?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Peter.
Great. So what was the conclusion using this decision support tool? The result shows that the most relevant differences were between legislation and socio-economic aspects, which means even grade 4 was the difference between the different individual evaluations. According to these results, the legislative background was the most supportive in Germany. And also, if we take into consideration the reuse and social aspect integration, the Austria and Slovenia has got the most favorable situation regarding these 2 dimensions or aspects. The widest consensus on the responses was on public awareness and the supply of second-hand items. where it was also an interesting experience that people are dominantly positive with reuse initiatives, but they have got rather passive attitudes. So they are very familiar, and they really give support for reuse, but their private and active participation is not so well developed. Private business, it can be said that it is present in all partner regions of the project with more or less relevance. State funding on direct reuse related to system development and action was generally low in every partner regions. So it somehow it refers to the results of this Mentimeter tool, that somehow the people and all the actors are expecting the state and the policymakers to make some movement towards the supporting of reuse or boosting reuse on a higher level than we have now. And overall, the best given environment for a smart reuse park development can be found in Germany, Austria, and Slovenia region. Okay. Can you see? Right. Okay. Within this tool, the second tool was the multi-stakeholder forum. The multi-stakeholder forum aim was to make a platform for exchanging knowledge and experiences for the participants of the project, and not only the consortium partners, but all the partners that can be hacked and have been contacted during the project implementation. But I will tell you more details on the second session of this meeting on how to boost reuse with efficient networking tools in the afternoon. So what here I'll just give you a short explanation on that. The form of the multi-stakeholder forum is the discussion group. The target groups was the project partners and their respective stakeholders and other interested actors, because it was an open forum that everybody can and could and will be able to join. But I will tell you later more information on that. The regularity of these multi-stakeholder forum meetings was every second month, and all of these activities, a very nice visual tutorial was made and is published on the project webpage that you can check. This visualization tool was made in Brazil, and it includes the multi-stakeholder forum activities concept and also the pilots. The next tool is the cooperation matrix. The cooperation matrix aim is to map up the potential and feasible cooperation mechanism among stakeholders. Because, okay, we have identified the stakeholders, all the constant actors that can contribute to the development of such a smart reuse park, but also we have to unfold to reveal their potential cooperations to avoid any overlapping or to miss any important point that is already present, but we didn't care about it. So this cooperation matrix is a perfect tool to unfold to you all of the potentials that these partners can contribute, whether it's a service or an infrastructure. So, and after that, when you have this cooperation matrix, you will have a clear view on the what are the roles of each participant partners, and you can also have got precise definition all of their tasks and expectations. For the future cooperations, within this 3 years long project, we have got several experiments how to contact and how to cooperate with such partners coming from different domains. And we found it very useful if we provide and develop such collaboration agreement for further usage or as an experiment for further exploitation of partners who are interested beyond surface project to develop such a smart reuse park. This collaboration agreement is a template that you can find also in the project webpage, and it includes all the essential elements or we can say preconditions that should be defined in such cooperation, and we consider it very, very important. So this tool is fully flexible. If you download it, you can use it for your own purposes, and you can amend it, you can delete such chapters from it. So I think it gives you a very good comprehensive summary, all the things that you might expect from such cooperation. So thank you, and now I will give the floor to Agnieszka. Please start.
Thank you, Peter. Agnieszka, are you with us?
Yeah, but can you, Peter, just stop sharing?
Peter, you have to stop sharing. Yeah, perfect. And Agnieszka, I give you 5 more minutes because we had the,
okay, so
the Mentimeter survey. I hope you can do it.
Don't worry, I will try my best.
Yeah, take your time. Okay, thank you.
So yeah, policy, and so next of the instrument which was helpful during planning the implementation of SRPs is policy and operational requirements tool. This tool presenting case histories of operational solutions and of different policy settings for smart reuse park with a SWOT analysis for each case. With this tool, we can collect and describe all existing good practices from the region. I think that this is some kind of mark research. And thanks to that, we have in one document all activities related to reuse implemented in the region. For the needs of this tool, there was also created a survey in which we demonstrate what possible activities should take place in the SRP, in the functional urban area, and then we categorize them according to the criteria by existing, not existing but planned, and not existing eventually set up in the long term or not planned. The next our tool is a calculation model. I think that proper management and planning cannot be done without some kind of financial plan. And that's why there was created a calculation model which presenting different economic and financial scenarios for implementing smart reuse parks. The model can be used for a planning budget for a 3 years phase. How we can see on the examples, these tables, the model indicating planned potential cost, revenue, and expenses, and it automatically calculates the total estimated income. The model allows and suggests a great variety of costs that might occur, so we can be prepared for many situations during implementing our SRPs. Once a point is created and we start operating, it is also worth training people who will run the reuse points and the people working there. For this, it is worth to use developed training curricula which describing skills to be achieved to become public or even private managers of reuse parks. Within this tool, 6 different training modules have been defined: general overview on waste prevention and reuse, collection, sorting and logistic, preparation for reuse, strategies for reuse shops, communication plan for SRPs, and innovation management for reuse providers. Each module contains description of purpose of training, the target group, format of training, schedule, materials, as well as a brief description of the content. As a part of the project, trainings were conducted by 5 partners where pilot activities were carried out. How we can see on the pictures, trainings in Germany and Austria were realized in normal physical form as planned, but because of the COVID-19, training in Poland, Hungary, and Italy were realized online, which was also a new experience and challenge for us. And there is also worth to mention that the trainings were evaluated with feedback questionnaires internally and from the participants. As a part of the project, there has been also development evaluation tool, we can say so. Quality scheme describes how to meet quality criteria when we designing and running our reuse points. The scheme contains criteria in areas of management and organizational structures, integration of SRP's actors, and the integration of the services provided. The quality scheme can be used as a control list for optimal organization of the SRPs. Thanks to it, we can check whether all the criteria will be or have been already met when we setting up our reuse points. To sum up, the main goal of the Surfers project was, and even still is, to improve environmental management and quality of life in urban areas. In addition, one of the planned results of the Surfers project was the implementation of a pilot action, Smart Reuse Parks. These activities were possible thanks to the cooperation between partners, actors in the region. About that cooperation and the networking, we will tell more in the next presentation, but also thanks to development methods and tested tools. Therefore, each of you who wonder how such activities are carried out and what should be done, you should visit our project website where our activities are presented. And what is more important, there is available activation toolbox, which was already presented, which can be used by everyone, and you can check everything in details. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thanks, Agnieszka and Peter, for presenting the activation tools to us. I also would like to underline and invite everybody to visit our project website where you can download also the templates for these tools presented and yeah, read more in detail about them. For the looking at the time, we are not so bad with the time management. Thanks, Agnieszka, for speeding up. I would suggest to have now a 5-minute coffee break, and please be back here at 3:07, and then we will start with the second part of our webinar. So enjoy the break and see you in 5 minutes. Ja, nicht. So welcome back, everybody. Please slowly get ready again for the webinar. Especially, I stop sharing my screen and ask now Peter to start sharing his again. Peter, are you with us? Yes, I can see you start. You're still muted for your information. Yeah.
No, okay.
And it's not a full presentation.
Also no. And what about now? Okay. You share. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry for this technical.
No worries.
And what about now? It's okay?
It's perfect.
Okay.
So let's start into the second half of the webinars. Peter and Agnieszka will present on how to boost reuse with effective networking tools. Please, Peter, go ahead.
Okay, welcome again in the continuation of this afternoon session. So my and Agnieszka presentation will be about how to boost the reuse with effective networking tools. Why is reuse important? We'll check it in a minute. Come on. Yeah, why networking is important and what its role within Surface project. You know, as I mentioned in my previous session, that Surface partnership, we found that there are really huge differences among the participant countries and regions. What these starting points can be due to different ecosystem and givens, as we've seen on the results of the decision matrix, on the legal aspects, economic aspects, and social aspects as well. It was clearly distinguished between Central Eastern European countries and Western European countries concerning the reuse-related actions and developments. Do you think this difference is a threat? No, we thought that this could be an opportunity, because if we considering the whole EU region, we have to cooperate and we have to aspire to somehow make it a balance between the big differences among the different countries with the exchange of knowledges and learning from each other. So from this aspect already we have got common aims within the Surface consortium. This first is the cooperative propagation of the relevance of reuse, exploitation of collective knowledge, and inventory and knowledge practices, contacts, and implementation tools. So what does Surface does? Involves partners from various Central European cities to promote the ideas of reuse and its added value to waste prevention initiatives as well as strategies. Collects on reuse-related solution, and also it raises questions and shares answers on reuse. Learn about, it also learn about good practices and know-how from other countries and share their knowledge and experiences. Meanwhile, we also try to aspire to make some networking with other partners, not only the local regions, but local areas, but also regional and international actors to involve within this cooperation. So, what are the policy background and motivation on this networking? As Michael already from RREUSE gives us a really pretty good summary on the Waste Framework Directive and also the new Circular Economy Action Plan. So I just make some highlights on that. As it is in the Framework Directive, you can find that there are in Annex 4 examples of waste prevention measures referred to Article 29. Which also encourages the networks, especially in densely populated regions, regarding the accredited repair and reuse centers. The other related initiatives is the new Circular Economy Action Plan, where the reuse and the repair have got priority before recycling. And also it mentions that improving product durability, reusability, upgradability, and repairability is of high importance. which means the eco-design. And also it got the statement referring to a study that more than 80% of the environmental impact of a product is determined at the design stage. So the other document on promoting this networking on reuse initiatives and itself the waste prevention is the urban agenda for the EU, which has got a position paper on how to make waste legislation support in the circular economy cities, because urban agenda and smart city approaches and strives are quite in parallel with circular economy approaches and aspects. So also there are some standardization initiatives during towards the prolonging use phase of energy-related products, as well, for example, the remanufacture of energy-related products, repair, reuse, upgrade, and assessment of their durability. So from this basement, you see, and everybody can see that networking is a must rather than an option. So if we would like to develop such smart reuse park, we have to think in collaboration, cooperation, all the directly or indirectly related and interested parties. So, and here I'll give the screen sharing to Maria with some question on Menti.
Thank you, Peter. Besides, again, we come to an interactive part of this webinar, because beside of this policy background and motivations for networking in reuse, we would like to ask you, the participants, from the audience, what are the benefits of networking for you when it comes to reuse? When you please go again to www.menti.com and use the code 363879, and then again you will be forwarded to a site where you can enter. I think I gave the option for 2 or 3 words or sentences. Be aware that once you push on send, you cannot give any further comments. So the first one already answered with inspiration and collaboration. The more of you are now will be answering, we get a very nice word cloud. And for example, if you agree with one of the words listed now here on the screen, you can also retype it, and then it's getting bigger. So the bigger one word is, the more often it was named by you. And so they are coming in. We have synergy, using synergy, coordination and collaboration, finding new partnerships, exchange of knowledge, supply and demand requirements. We see also getting to know good practices. Yes, it's nice. Now you see the function of this word cloud. Partnerships is already bigger than the others. Inspiration, development, cooperation. More and more people named these benefits from networking. So far 19-20 people participated. We also have, of course, inspiration to get new ideas. That's, of course, going to the same direction. Knowledge gain, sharing of knowledge, exchange of knowledge is always, double counting. Also experience, learning, reach a wider public is named here. Support, know-how. Yeah, a lot of benefits are coming in, 28 so far, and we can see that there have been a lot of benefits named or coming up doubled or threefold, just giving it a few different names. But we can see inspiration, using networking for getting inspired, getting new ideas through exchanging knowledge and experiences, good practices, also development, I guess, maybe of new projects and actions, finding and seizing new opportunities, learning, partnerships, cooperation, good practices. Yes. Thank you all for the very active participation, and I think we all very appreciate the networking aspect, which is also one effect we would like to reach here with this webinar, because you have the opportunity, of course, to go through the participation list and contact each of the participants in a private chat, and therefore gain you, on the one hand, new contacts or freshen up existing ones. Thanks everybody for participating. 32 people participated. I would stop here sharing my screen and give back to either Peter or Agnieszka. I'm not sure who of you will go on now. Peter, okay.
Okay. Sorry, my previous slide, I just lagged behind the steps of the slides, but now I can continue. So, what was the first step within this project cooperation to build such networking? Every project partners has the task to identify their related stakeholders in their region, functional urban area, and to contact them, and also to invite them to contribute to this networking and common thinking and collaboration within this surface project. So it was very important. Why? Because as I already mentioned, the colligating of different ideas, stakeholder expectations, interest is very important that we need to be aware of. It also serves a bottom-up approach for waste prevention, which can integrate the environmental and social dimensions as well, because the stakeholders also came from the social domain, waste management, and also from some economic regarding the municipalities and the municipal waste collection companies. This multi-stakeholder forum was also a perfect area to offering space for sharing the knowledge and common thinking. Towards this, we can spare enough time and resources and lead us to an efficient implementation of the project. Within this multi-stakeholder forum, we prepared also an agreement which somehow formalized this cooperation among the stakeholders respectively. And since this start of the multi-stakeholder forum, we organized within the project duration on a 2-month basis discussions. It was mainly organized via online by Skype. However, when we have got a general partner meeting, we also try to organize the face-to-face personal meetings with our multi-stakeholder forums and experts, and also we try to invite them to join us personally in these multi-stakeholder forum discussions. These topics was documented, and also the topics was predefined. The multi-stakeholder forum partners were encouraged to express their interest on the continuation of the multi-stakeholder forum. This is an essential point beyond the surface project. Why? Because we don't want to stop with this initiative. We would like to go on, and from these aspects we developed in the cooperation local and the follow-up agreements. The difference is local agreements is for the partners who are acting locally in your functional urban area or smart reuse park implementation. And the follow-up agreements is for everyone who are interested to join and also to participate in the development of such idea and concept, and also even the implementation and operation of smart reuse park. So if you are interested to join us, you can contact us on the email below, and or you can also indicate in the chat, provide your email addresses, because the first beyond surface meeting on this multi-stakeholder forum is planned half year later, somewhere in November 2020, and also we have already got a planned and defined topic. This is quite simple and obvious, the outcomes since the surf is finished. And now I would like to give you, show you some slides about good practices on reuse networks in Europe. We have already heard the introduction of RREUSE. RREUSE was also the part of this consortium. One more addition to that, you can see that they already avoided 1 million tons of materials that avoided to become waste. You can see the main material flow relates to furnitures, and for me it was a little bit interesting that textile also give a huge significant share in this material flow. Also the electronic equipment as well. So, as you know, our reuse is organized on a European level. We can say that this is an up-to-down approach, up-to-bottom approach, but I would like to now show you and introduce a good practice on reuse in Europe, which was organized from apply the bottom-up approach. This is the RepaNet in Austria. I'm sure that many of you are already familiar with this umbrella organization, which is also the part of the big European umbrella organization of RREUSE. And yeah, they have got the slogan, which means reuse braucht eine Lobby, reuse needs a lobby. They have got 45 members with 10 supporting members across Austria, and also covers 1,800 jobs. What are their priorities? They also, as the main mission of the RREUSE, they would like to balance between the 3 pillars of sustainability, the environmental, social, and economic aspects as well. They advocates on national level the facilitation of reuse organization and of course to minimize the generation of waste, and also taking into consideration the
1 minute, Peter.
use of resources during production. Okay, so their main activities of the members connect, consult, so they are coming from every aspect, from consultation services and also from production and technical, mechanical aspects as well. Here, this is their material flow. As you can see, here also the textiles have got a significant share in the inbound products, and also the mobiles and electronic equipment, furnitures. So they have got also their own logo for the refurbished items, especially electric ones, the Revita, but also they have organized, they collect regional networks like Reuse Network Tyrol, Salzburg, and also in Vienna, the Tandler. So thank you very much. Now I give the floor to Agnieszka to continue this presentation.
Agnieszka, take your time again.
Once again, I will really speed up. Oh, doesn't work. Okay. So now I will present another task that we implemented, another, let's say maybe even tool, which we implemented under the project and can be linked to the networking. Under the project, we have realized twinning activities. The goal of that was to establish cooperation with entities, so-called twinning partners, who operating in the field of social economy, waste management, or just are willing municipalities. The twinning partners were to express their will to promote, reuse, and be ready to create or to explore the possibilities of setting up a smart reuse parks. Thanks to the twinning, twinning partners have obtained, among others, help in establishing a reuse-based waste prevention plans, tools that have been created during the project and whose goal is to help in setting up the reuse point. Thanks to the twinning partners had also the opportunity to meet experts from other countries and exchange experience and good practices, including during site visits to already implemented smart reuse parks. As a part of the twinning, in total 9 new FUAs outside the partnership have been attracted. In order to implement twinning activities, the partners and their twinning partners develop twinning plans, and that is some kind of action plans, which were then implemented. What is more, for the purpose of the activities within twinning, an activation toolbox has been developed, about which we talked in the previous presentation. But for the record, activation toolbox is a tool that contains instruments that help in planning, development, and opening potential reuse points. I think that the biggest added value of participating in twinning was the opportunity to take part in organized study visits called twinning learning journeys. And twinning partners could show themselves how the reuse points are established in other countries, how they looks like, and thanks to that they could get inspired. 3 of our first visits took place in a physical normal form. Last 2, because of a recent situation, COVID-19, were prepared in online version. The first trip our twinning partners held last year in October, and they go to Budapest, where for the first time we had the opportunity to introduce our twinning partners and show them the smart reuse park launched there. Then on December, we visited thriving smart reuse park in Kempten. Those all materials which I show you at the moment, you can probably then find somewhere online, because all the parks were presented on Tuesday's meeting. The last physical meeting took place in Toruń. I can say that it was probably literally at the 11th hour before coronavirus ruined many plans. During this meeting, partners together with twinning partners, how we can see on the picture, took active part in do-it-yourself workshops. And these, how I mentioned, these 2 last learning journeys were take place virtually because of COVID-19. The trip to Vicenza took place, we can say, on 22nd of April, and in Innsbruck, we have visited Innsbruck yesterday. It was really quick journey. The organizers have prepared videos and a presentation for us during which they presented their activities. This video and presentations are available on our project website, which you see the link on the presentation. And I think that they also will be available on our YouTube channel dedicated to Surface project. So if anyone wants to, let's say, visit our 2 smart reuse park, you can just go to the website and find us on YouTube. And to sum up, networking and coordination is the basis to realize successful projects, I think. Thanks to the exchange of the information, experiences, meeting new people and things, we can definitely develop ourselves and even develop our projects with new ideas, new way of implementation, and so on. And therefore, the activities and cooperation of our project partners does not end. as a part of the project, we will conduct the multi-stakeholder forum, about which was talking about a few minutes ago Peter, during which we will exchange experiences and knowledge. So anyone who wants to, let's say, join us during this multi-stakeholder forum, the first meeting will take place in November this year. So just please, let's say, notes, give some notes on our chat, or even mail Maria, and hope that we will meet once again in November. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Agnieszka, and also Peter, for your presentation. Speaking of networking and the benefits of it, as we saw, is most of you regarded the exchange of knowledge and learning from each other. We come directly to our next point, which is the plenary discussion. I share my screen again and ask Berthold to unmute himself. The topic of today's plenary discussion is how reuse can strengthen its role in the circular economy of Central Europe and beyond. The discussion will be moderated by Berthold Schleich, the managing director of the Association of Waste Prevention, located in Graz of Austria. And Berthold has accompanied our surface project for the last 3 years, and also even before that, the former project as a thematic advisor and reuse expert. And he has been part of the Austrian waste prevention and reuse scene from the very first minute. Berthold, may I give the word to you?
Thank you very much, Maria. Welcome everybody to this plenary discussion. First, I would like to introduce our speakers. I will start with Claire Downey. Hello, Claire, are you here? Yes, I can see it. Nice to meet you again. We met recently in Dublin. It was a great experience to look at all the very interesting good practices located in Ireland. And Claire, she's the head of the Community Reuse Network in Ireland, CRNI, and she has a great experience in reuse topics. She's working since 14 years, I guess, and she is also a member of the National Waste Prevention Committee and the National Waste Advisory Group, and a board member of the Green Foundation in Ireland. So you have your fingers everywhere in the important networks in Ireland. And this is probably the reason why you are so successful with your group in Ireland. Michael Lenn, the director of RREUSE, he was already introduced by Maria, but I want to say that Michael runs the RREUSE network in Brussels, which is a very effective network, and he, as director of RREUSE, he is very, very busy with the lobbying for RREUSE and the role of the social economy in Europe. We really appreciate your work, your very efficient work. Nice to have you here, Michael. The third speaker is Pier Andrea Moiso. Pier Andrea, you're welcome. Are you here? Yes, yes. Ciao, ciao, Pier Andrea. He's the president of the Triciclo Cooperativa, and he is very active also since 20 years in the field of reuse and in the job placement of disadvantaged people. And he can do a lot of consultants for planning ecocentri, which means waste collection centers and in Italy. Nice to have you here. The fourth one is Matthias Neitsch from RepaNet. Matthias, are you here? Yes, I can see it. Yeah, now I see it very good. He's the managing director of RepaNet. This is the Austrian NGO for social economy and reuse enterprises in the field of reuse and repair. This network was already presented by Peter as a good practice. So hopefully you're proud of this presentation. And Matthias is also the managing director of the Austrian Federation of Municipal Environment and Waste Advisors. So in this function, he brings in a lot of technical experience in waste management, waste prevention. He is a member of a lot of networks located in Austria. So, but now to the topic of our discussion, how can reuse strengthen the role in the circular economy of Central Europe, of course, because of this Central Europe program, but also beyond. And I would like to start with Pier Andrea. Just to give an opinion as a reuse expert, what do you think about the developed reuse activation tools in this Surface project?
Hello everyone, it's my first time with you, so it's a great pleasure to be here. And for the tools, yes, I try to discover these tools. I read the documents I heard, and it's very interesting, but I don't use it. So my practice is zero, and it's difficult to have an idea because I have an application. So I would know better these instruments, and I'm sure your work to describes many functions of reuse. It's very, very interesting.
Okay, thank you. I think you're very experienced with your cooperative in the reuse field, but so you are also working as a consultant for other cooperatives, I heard. So probably could be this of interest to use these tools for any other cooperative to set up reuse activities if they don't do it yet?
Yes, it's very interesting. I'm very interested in about policies and about business models, and I would work with that. I have a consultancy project for public administration, but then if you want, I speak about the situation in Italy with the public administration and national legislation to,
yes, sir.
because it's important to have an idea about our work as a consultant.
Yeah, can you explain it a little bit more detailed?
Yeah. So in Italy now, at this time, we have a legislation that is so flawed and complex that it makes investments in this type of activity difficult and not very sustainable. If you want, I try to explain a short story about the legislation in Italy about the reuse. in Italy, we start in 2006 with decree number 152. And we start to indicate the state must adopt a national waste prevention program. So this program speak about prevention of waste production for the first time in 2006. And then in 2010, the legislation indicates for the first time repair and reuse centers, indicates, okay. And in 2015, finally, the legislation establishes, said that dedicated spaces for the prevention of waste production can also be identified in collection centers. Now we are in this situation. Nobody knows how and who can do that. So it's a situation, a very difficult situation. The public administration, the local public administration are waiting national legislation. So we are all in a stopping moment.
Okay, but it's very important to present good practices. How can it work? I visited in Sieme, in Penza, and we have another European project with Perugia. So hopefully I will have the possibility to visit your cooperative.
Yes, in Turin.
Yeah, in Torino. Yeah. So I think there are a lot of good examples to boost a little bit the legislation also, to give them an idea how it can work. And as far as I know, or what we experience, is that reuse is such an important topic for the circular economy. And therefore now I want to ask Claire Downey how she is doing this or implementing a kind of strategy to boost reuse within this now very important circular economy strategy at a European level. Claire.
Thank you very much, Berthold, and thanks for having us on this call. I guess we represent the beyond in the circular economy of Central Europe and beyond. And I know Peter mentioned in talking about the decision matrix how many of the participants in this project, and certainly in our case, have very different ecosystems and arrangements, political policy arrangements in their countries. So I was just going to give a quick overview of those. I did test quite a few of the tools because I thought it would be interesting to come from our perspective, the Irish perspective with the tools, and some of them were quite surprising to me, which was good. So I guess here in Ireland, we have one of the main differences is that we have a privatized waste management system. And that means that the public authorities are less involved in managing waste. Of course, they're not involved at all in managing waste, and have a more hands-off approach to reuse activities as a result. Our regional authorities, who are responsible for our waste plans, are very engaged in raising awareness and public awareness and supporting events and activities, but there's no real involvement of public bodies in actual centres, apart from those that are representing a national reach. And you will have heard, if you were on the call on this seminar on Tuesday from the Rediscovery Centre, which is one of our members, which is a national centre for circular economy, and they are supported by the EPA and the department here to be a national centre and help, I suppose, other reuse activities around Ireland. So most partnerships are more national, and that's why I thought it would be interesting to test some of the activation tools actually for this project and see what it means in terms of where we are compared to other countries. I was quite surprised to see from the decision matrix that we look quite similar to Austria, which I think is good news. And also I found the policy and operational requirement, the policy and operational, I suppose, examples of different case studies really interesting. And what I thought might be useful, just as a particular reflection on that, is to see some kind of ideal reuse park and all of the really useful policy and operational requirements that would feed into that, to see how it could apply here. So in terms of policy, I guess we're in transition mode at the moment. Berthold mentioned we're on the a waste advisory group, and that's trying to bring in a new policy and the transposition of the Waste Framework Directive. So that's due to happen in the next 2 or 3 months, which is very exciting. Our current policy dates back to 2012 nationally, and 2015 for our waste plans. So it's a good time to see them renewed, and we're really hopeful that the new plans will see some positive developments for reuse. And the main things that we've been asking for are targets, which is also what Michael mentioned. In particular, targets for reuse and specifically food waste prevention, a general target for reuse, and a target for preparation for reuse. In Ireland currently, there is no preparation for reuse at all. There are only reuse activities. We estimate around 23,000 tonnes is being reused by our members. We don't have a full estimate for the country, but that's the best we have of reuse activities. And we believe a target would really help push that along. And we're also, of course, pushing for financial measures. There's some quite good work being done on green public procurement. We would like to see VAT levels reduced to 0, of course, maybe tax rebates on donations, other levies, reduction on commercial rates, and other things. Another big development that's being reviewed at the moment is how we can bring more reuse into our recycling centres. At the moment, only a few have set aside areas for reuse, so we'd like to see that develop. And then there's also policy around raising public awareness and a coordinated approach to the social and environmental aspects, so how we support jobs and skills in the circular economy. So those are the areas that we've been talking to the department about and the EPA, and we're hoping this new policy will bring some of it in place.
Thank you, Claire. There are such a lot of topics you mentioned. There's so many content so much content for a huge number of follow-up projects. So hopefully you will be on board on one of the next projects. But as you are working with all these networks, and do you think we have enough time to turn to a circular economy? Things aren't go too slowly at the moment.
I would have been more pessimistic until a few weeks ago, but we have very positive signals from our department. They really do want to introduce targets, and for me that would be a huge step. And I think the Commission is really pushing that agenda, and thanks a lot to the Reuse Network Europe, of course, and projects like this for I suppose encouraging the Commission to prioritize reuse. through the Green Deal, through the Green Recovery. I am quite hopeful that things are moving faster now than they have.
Okay, this is already the slip to Matthias. Yeah, Matthias, what do you think in Austria? Are things going well and on time to boost reuse more as an important topic of the circular economy?
Yes, I think we are on a good way, but we still have a long way to go. I think we are a little bit more advanced than some other countries, but not that advanced as countries like Belgium, Ireland, the Netherlands, France, and others, just to name a few. What I would like to see happen is that reuse is communicated, and we are trying to do this very, very hard in Austria, that reuse is communicated in all these discussions as the best contribution to circular economy, better than recycling, and that the essence of reuse is simply using less products longer. And as the social economy is the most prominent driver of reuse currently all over Europe, I would say to add one point, not only using less products longer, but creating new jobs by servicing this longer use of less products. So this is more or less the essence of what we are lobbying for. And to turn back to the question of this panel discussion, how can reuse strengthen its role in the circular economy in Central Europe and beyond? I would name seven points that we have to stress, and that we have to, and some points were already mentioned in the discussions earlier. First is make reuse more visible by mapping reuse activities, by reporting what we are doing with all our numbers that Peter Rabak already presented. Thank you, Peter, for this. You are our international lobbyist now. Thanks for that. And the second point is make reuse a more favorable option. And what could contribute to that is to use CO2 calculators like in Spain, or resource calculators like in Finland that show that how much CO2 or primary resources are saved through reuse activities to promote good arguments. Third point is make reuse more attractive. What could contribute to this is less VAT on second-hand products, a better access to the waste stream for reuse actors, and a lot more. Point number 4 is make reuse more socially beneficial and combine it with doing good. So every time you do a reuse activity, it should be combined with a benefit for vulnerable people, for people in need. And this is why social enterprises, social actors should be included in the reuse activities as much as possible, where it is possible. It's not possible everywhere. Point number 5 is make it more easy, make reuse more easy. So here the municipalities are requested to open up their municipal collection points for reuse activities, either as collection and also to include reuse shops in smart reuse parks and smart resource parks, like there are already some existing in Austria. And also the legislation is a very important point to make reuse easier, because there are still a lot of legislative barriers that should be removed to make reuse easier. Point number 6 is make it more cool. So bring the reuse idea into schools, into colleges, into universities, work with young people, build up more awareness, make it a cool alternative, make it more cool than new. So we had some years ago, we had a project where the slogan was that reuse is better than new. And so especially attract young people with this. This would be really important. We are currently working on getting on-track activities to create an app, a mobile phone app, with a lot of features to make reuse more attractive. We hopefully get funding for this in the future. We are working on it together with our European partners in the reuse network. And point number 7, make reuse more economically feasible against unfair competition by new products. Because if we are serious, Europe is built on the idea of have a fair competition among all the players in the market, but it's a fact that cheap product imports from non-long durable products from the Far East or the Middle East make reuse a less attractive, economically less attractive alternative to buying new products. And actually this should be corrected, because there should be a fair competition between repair and reuse activities compared to new products. And this competition currently is absolutely not fair. There are some small steps where you could correct this, which is VAT, no VAT or less VAT for reused products or for repair services. Then, of course, subsidies and funding for reuse activities is very important. And the compensation for prevented waste through reuse and repair activities by municipalities or the relevant waste authorities or waste management actors in the region, like the private actors like in Ireland or the municipal actors like in Austria. So we have this model only, as I know, in Flanders, where the municipalities pay for what would reuse the material that is reused by the Flemish reuse network. What the amount of money that would have been the cost if this would have been treated as waste, and now is prevented through the reuse activities of the reuse network in Flanders. This amount of money is paid to the reuse network by the municipalities, and similar models would be really fine in other countries as well. So these are my 7 points to make reuse easier and to strengthen it. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Matthias. These were exactly the answers I wanted to ask you. What are the most 7 important points to reuse? So thank you a lot for these explanations. But now I want to ask Michael, not what are the 7 points, but what is the most important point to strengthen reuse in Europe as a whole? What do you think? The most important point for the circular economy? Michael, are you here?
Do I have to?
Sorry, we have 2 microphones here.
Can you just not mute that? I don't know. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, no, it's good.
Perfect. Sorry about this. It's just the troubles of having 2 microphones in one room. One thing which Matthias raised, I think it's still key that the European legislators realize that reuse is not recycling. I think still, when we're talking about the circular economy, the focus on the importance of boosting recycling is still somewhat prevalent in comparison to reuse. However, that has been changing in recent times. So just the general concept and communication about the benefits of reuse, both in terms of for the environment, as Matthias was saying, from a climate and resource perspective, but also from the employment perspective, is crucial. This is very important. And on the legal side, as an organization, we've been pushing really for these reuse targets, or preparation for reuse targets as well for quite some time. The good thing is that the possibilities for these to be implemented at European level are still there. They are on the table. As Peter has already mentioned in his presentation, the European Waste Framework Directive requires member states to measure and to report on preparation for reuse rates, and also to report on reuse rates once indicators have been set at European level. And this is the big work which is currently ongoing with the Commission. There has been a report has been published by a number of consultancies, including the Öko Institute, which look into the question of how to measure reuse. And the European Commission is now assessing this report to see what it will present to member states as reporting indicators. And if we finally have these reporting indicators and the obligation for measurement of preparation for reuse and of reuse, we do hope that finally the let's say support financially also for these activities will follow suit. And so we are on the right path, but still there is lots to be done in terms of really shouting about the value of reuse to make sure that we are really prioritizing the top of the waste hierarchy, which at the moment is getting better, but there's still more to be done. So that's really it, Berthold. Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. That's also the reason why RREUSE is so important to have you in Brussels to help with all these lobbying work. Once more, congratulations to your efficient work in Brussels. So now I want to ask Maria, how are we in time? Can we ask some questions? Can we answer some questions of the participants?
Thanks, Berthold. There have been coming in a few questions. I don't know if you see my Zoom chat here in the now in the shared screen, but I will start with one question coming from Denmark, or actually there were two. It's coming from Jens. And Jens, I would just pick out the question that you stated on, are there public waste management authorities and companies interesting partners in the multi-stakeholder forum, and what could or should be their role in the future circular economy? I can answer for concerning the multi-stakeholder forum. Yes, public waste management authorities were and are still included and involved in our multi-stakeholder forum. For example, I can think of just a few examples: municipality of Graz, of Innsbruck from Austria, also in Slovenia, Maribor and Ljubljana. They joined our multi-stakeholder forum, and others. Their role in the project was, on the one hand, to act as a tuning partner, to take over and test certain tools, the activation tools that were presented today, and give us feedback and evaluate those tools. And in future, for the future multi-stakeholder fora, I think it's interesting, like we said before, with the networking, to exchange knowledge, experience, but also that they state their need when it comes to waste prevention plans and how to include new activities for reuse, maybe looking for partnerships and new actions to be implemented there. I don't know, Berthold, we could give the question on what should be their role in future circular economy, or I give it on to the plenary discussion participants if they would like to say something about the role of public waste management authorities in future circular economy.
Who wants to make a comment to this question? Matthias?
I already mentioned that this cost imbalance of cost is one of the main reasons that reuse is not yet the mainstream. The cost, there are higher costs than revenues from selling reused products, which has to do with a lot of factors. First of all, for the electric appliances, although it is in the law that that EPR schemes for we have to pay for the waste treatment, which includes preparation for reuse, they simply do not. They pay only for recycling. And they pay for collection of everything, but only for the recycling and treatment of the recycling fraction, and they do not pay preparation for reuse for electric appliances. Actually, it should be a law in everywhere in Europe. It is already in the RE Directive that this should be paid by the EPR schemes or the importers or producers, but it simply isn't, because there is, I don't know, I'm not a legislative expert, there is some lag between the aim of the law and the practice of the law, and somewhere in between there is a missing to describe the process how this should be done. So which results in that it is not happening. And the next discussion is what I already mentioned, that the municipalities or whatever waste authorities are, it's not always the municipalities in every country who are responsible for the waste treatment of municipal waste. But reuse is a very big contribution to minimize waste, so they should pay their contribution as well, as they are doing for other activities like composting or like food waste prevention projects or whatever. And so I think this also needs some more attention. And also food waste prevention and bio waste composting is economically not feasible and still is paid by the municipalities. So I think prevention for reuse activities can be viewed also as a waste minimization strategy, and could be also paid by the public waste authorities. Of course, this is a very critical discussion. I know that Hans Meyer of the Austrian municipalities is in the audience. He is in the room right now. We have already discussed this problem. There are a lot of costs that municipalities have to bear. The costs are rising, so this is a very critical discussion, of course, because in the end, the taxpayer will pay the bill, but it is also important to note that the taxpayer will also get the benefit. And this is what we should communicate more.
Okay, this is also a topic that's what is raised now by Markus Meissner, and he brought a new term. It's called refinancing. Yeah. The refinancing of things, of activities, which helps to prevent waste, like the preparation for reuse. Should be financed from the waste management fees also. And Markus is running a very good project concerning the reuse of building components. And there are, if you look at the construction sector, there are many tons of material which could be saved by reusing it, and not to demolish it and to downcycle it to any other recycling material. So this reuse of building components is very important for future works. So I think we are now limited in our time. Maria?
Thank you, Matthias, and for already answering another question I would have had on my list from Markus. I would like just to add up on the second question Jens had, which was about if we have economic viable and resilient scalable models produced in the surface project to demonstrate in terms of increasing the collected tonnage and prevention reused goods or of waste in terms of reused goods. And I just would shortly like to answer, yes, one example would be the reuse collection centers and stores from our German partner called ZAC, Waste Management Association in Kempten. And they installed during the project time 2 new so-called ZAC Kaufhäuser reuse centers, which is a centralized solution for collecting and preparing goods for reuse and selling them. It's a second-hand shop included there, and they this solution and pilot action is a good example for economic viability. For further details, I would refer to the colleagues from ZAC, but I know that I was writing with them in private. They have to leave soon, but I can forward you their contacts, or they can be found on our project website. And shortly also here in Austria, we receive support from the public sector. For example, the municipality of Innsbruck, they installed a reuse corner at their recycling center where defined products are being collected by the municipality, and they have a cooperation with reuse actors, private as well as social economic institutions, who gave them a list with criteria what should be collected, and they come there once or twice a week and also pick up these goods for reuse. So that's a very good example also for collaboration between a municipality and a social economic organization. I hope this answered a bit your question. And then there's just something I would also like to share in the group. Tim Wagendorp picks up the idea of networking of this event, and he asks if there's anybody here in the group that is looking for atypical or not typical stakeholders and sectors when it comes to collaborate in reuse, because he sees the Green Deal as an overall umbrella where the circular economy is just one solution, but there are many EU programs like Creative Media, Erasmus+, and regional film funds that also are looking for green approaches and practical green solutions. So he motivates us to also look outside of our known corner of the world, reuse corner of the world, for new stakeholders and not traditional customer groups. Thanks for that input, Tim. And anybody who has already an idea, please go ahead and contact him. And yes, I see there is something also coming in, but due to the time, I would come to an end. I hope this is okay for everybody. This would have been actually this slide, the questions from you, from the audience. Berthold, would you like to say some closing words? Otherwise.
Thank you very much. Thank you to my reuse experts. Hopefully we can have a follow-up of this discussion. There are some questions not answered yet from the chat, but hopefully we can give some additional answers in the minutes of this meeting. And thanks a lot for participating, and see you all soon, not remotely, but physically. So thank you very much. And now, Maria, it's your floor.
Thank you, Berthold. In my role as a lead partner, I have the honor to close today's webinar and at the same time also our final conference. And I would like to seize this opportunity to say thank you. Thank you on the one hand to my colleagues in the background and the other project partners who helped to organize this event. Thank you in general to the Surfit project partners for the productive, fruitful and uncomplicated collaboration during the last 3 years, which outputs we presented today and also on Tuesday. I would like to underline that due to the time limitation of these 2 webinars, it was only possible for some of us, of the project partners, to present or give an insight to the outcomes, the typical or the regional outcomes of the project. But I would like to thank at this point also the project partners from province of Rimini from Italy, CPU, REU Center from Slovenia, ACT Group from Croatia, and IURS, the Institute of Sustainable Development of Settlements from Czech Republic, who had not the opportunity to speak here in person or virtually and present their outcomes. These partners have elaborated well-founded feasibility studies for their region to implement smart reuse parks in their functional urban areas. And I think they should be mentioned here because you were the only ones who were not able to show a face here to the others. Thanks, of course, like Berthold already said, to the European reuse experts that have been involved in these webinars with their presentations, with the moderating, and also your inputs during our 2 plenary discussions. And you completed our webinars on a subject-specific level. Thank you very much. And last but not least, also thank you to you, the audience, who joined us and actively participated in our webinars. Just to give you the number, in total, 160 people registered for our 2 events, coming from more than 20 European countries, which is, I think, a very great sign of success and underlines the relevance of the topic itself, but also proves or is a fruit of the actions from the reuse actors and the importance of their work. And just to mention a few, because I think it's very nice coming from the different countries. We have people from Albania, Cyprus, Greece, Bulgaria, all Scandinavian countries, Estonia, Lithuania, Portugal, Spain, France, Great Britain, Ireland, and so on, who have been with us and registered for the last 2 days. And I think that's a very nice proof that we brought the theme of this conference into practice. And I would like to close the webinar by saying, let's become one big reuse network and join forces to make reuse a key element of a circular economy in Central Europe and beyond. So thank you everybody for participating and being with us, and hopefully see you again virtually or in person at another time. Thank you.